What's up? WQ here. WQQQQWRT. And I actually learned something pretty powerful recently about gameplay. Gameplay interactions, gameplay systems, how to maximize the gameplay in a system of gameplay, inputs, outputs, natural elements, everything good. So this is actually pretty interesting because about, I guess, 2 weeks ago, I was like, hey, you know what? You can actually liquefy your gameplay and liquefy a sequence of events, a sequence of interactions, and what you can do is you can liquefy it and you actually have higher consistency per interaction. Really? Wait a minute, WQ. That sounds pretty revolutionary. That sounds pretty incredible, and that means I can do things that I previously couldn't do effortlessly, naturally, completely, within my realm of control. But I'm a little confused here. My brain is not quite as big as yours. So let me explain. Let me explain to you guys what I mean. Let's say you have you have an interaction, a sequence of interactions, 5 steps long, right? So you have 5 steps to interaction, right? And you can't make any errors. So third step, you break down your sequence into 5 steps. You're like, okay, well, I can't make any errors, let's break it down. So you do your first one, it's good. You do your second one, it's good. You do your third one, you mess up, well, now you mess up the whole sequence. So it doesn't matter if you break it down or not. If you mess up any part of the sequence, you mess up the whole sequence. So you're doomed. Can't do anything. But if you liquefy your gameplay, suddenly you can actually break down sequences, and suddenly actually sort of have to break down sequences, and then suddenly you can actually do the parts, and then you can do the whole. Well, how do you liquefy your gameplay? If you do what you think you can do, your gameplay, which is the most natural element of the human body, right? The human process, the human mind, what it thinks it can do and what it wants to do is the most natural process, right? Because that's what your fundamental beliefs. So if you do exactly what you think you can do instead of what, the society tells you is optimal, the school instructors, the liberals, what they tell you is optimal, instead of doing what the liberals tell you to do, if you do what you think you can do, it's actually always a natural process, and this is why it works. So suddenly you go into a sequence of 5 interactions, you go to the first one, and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to do what the liberals tell me to do. I'm not going to do it as pretend optimal. I'm going to do exactly what I think I can do. So you can actually take a sequence, and then you break the sequence down, and then suddenly there's a sequence that you have difficulty doing. Well, it's 5 easy interactions that you can do in a row, and you're just doing what you think you can do, and then suddenly you add them all up, and you can then do sequences that you couldn't do before consistently under pressure with much higher consistency, and actually better. You can actually do better, faster, more consistent. Wow, that's pretty incredible. Really, liquefying your gameplay. This is a real thing. Breaking down things you can do completely naturally breaking it down, by the way. It's a natural process. Once you start doing what you think you can do, you can break down sequences into parts that you think you can do and you're comfortable doing, right? Suddenly you can do the whole part. Wow, that's pretty crazy. That's crazy, but it gets even crazier. It gets even crazier. And I actually learned this with this crazy, simple little toy. I know, a fidget spinner. So I was spinning, let's just give it a good rip. Ooh, okay, yeah. So I gave it a good little rip, and I like to try to stop the spinner and grab one of the prongs, right? And it's not too difficult, but apparently I don't know. Apparently I just keep getting it. Well, I missed it right there, right? So it's not a guaranteed thing, but it's kind of fun. I'm thinking to myself, how can I increase my chances of getting the prong? What can I do to increase my chances of getting the prong? And I thought about it. Most people, because before I was trying to gimmick it, I was like, you know what, I'll unlock my Sharingan and then I can see the blades as they're rotating and it'll be easy. But I realized that that's a gimmick. It's not going to work. Gimmicks, they don't work. It's not recreatable. It's not a real thing. So I had to throw that out the window a little bit, and then I was thinking, what can I do to gimmick myself to get the prongs? And I'm thinking, you know what, I'm tired of gimmicks. This is the WQ we're talking about. I don't use gimmicks anymore. All I use is natural gameplay, complete natural gameplay, complete natural elements, natural motivation, natural tryharding, all these easy things, liquid gameplay, natural gameplay. It's pretty straightforward. So, well, what can I do that's natural that I can recreate that would actually increase the likelihood of me getting a prong? And I realized that I don't actually control whether I get a prong or not. It's completely out of my control whether I get a prong. The only thing I do control here is my fingers. And the minimization of mistakes. So actually the best thing I can do to get the prong is just pinch my fingers down and try not to miss, right? Suddenly, what goes out the window is results. Results completely go out the window. And if you think about it, this is entirely true because an output you don't control over. You don't have control over an output. You don't have control over a result. If you had control over a result, it wouldn't be a result, right? It wouldn't exist. So you actually don't control results. You only control input. You only control what you can put into the equation. Well, what do you control on a fundamental level? You control yourself. You control the circumstances around you, right? So, well, I guess you don't actually control the circumstances around you, but, you know, you do control yourself, and you control what you can do in the moment, in the present, right? Things that happen in the future, you don't control. Things that you did in the past, you don't control. Stupid things that you're going to do in the future, you don't control. But what you do control is what's happening right now in the present and who you are. That is input. So that's pretty interesting. So if I go back to my spinning a fidget spinner, well, I control my fingers, and I don't control whether I grab it or not. So suddenly I'm going to ignore whether I grab it or not. I'm only going to focus on grabbing it. And I missed it again. I missed it 4 times in a row, so I'm bad, blah, blah, blah. But think about it. You know what? This is interesting. It's related to video games because I'm playing video games all the time, and I'm wondering, what can I do to liquefy my gameplay even farther? And then I realized, oh my god, this is huge. I've been practicing Link Pass for 5 to 10,000 hours, maybe 15,000 hours at this point, and I've been struggling, like consistently struggling. Suddenly I play the fidget spinner for about 20 seconds, and it just clicks. It all clicks because what I can do is actually break down a sequence into interactions, but then I can break those interactions down into inputs and outputs. And so suddenly I go from a sequence that I can't usually do into interactions that I can usually do into inputs and outputs. And so get rid of the outputs. Now I'm only focusing on inputs. So the amount of things I have to concentrate on goes from about 20 in one sequence. You have about 20, breaks it down into groups of 4, and then it breaks it down into groups of 2. Because let's say in one interaction there's inputs and there are outputs. Well, I can control when I press the button, how I press the button. I can control that. I don't control what happens when I press the button. Right? I don't control what happens in the game after it happens. But I do control what I do. And I realize this is actually game-changing. This is completely game-changing. Because I'm focusing on outputs in the game everywhere. If I do a liquid sequence, half of what I'm focusing on is outputs. Those don't matter. They're absolutely irrelevant. Now, when I do a sequence, and I'm changing, you know, it's not all or nothing. When I do a sequence, it's almost entirely input for me. I'm like, oh, I only control whether I press up. Okay, I only control whether I press up and A. Well, I just have to all in on pressing up and A. Nothing else really matters here. Even if I fail, what's the difference, you know? So that's pretty huge. That's pretty damn huge. So my gameplay, certainly, almost 100% leveled up. Completely leveled up as a result of this change. When I liquefied my gameplay initially 2 weeks ago, I was able to go from doing bosses and doing screens that I wasn't too comfortable with about 20% consistency, 20 to 30% consistency on average. Maybe I was really trying to get it like 70 or 80% of the time, but ultimately I wasn't able to force myself to try that hard every run, and it wasn't very good. Once I learned about liquid gameplay, my consistency on these screens went up to about 95 to 100% instantly. This happened instantly, and the results were quite mind-blowing. And actually, it was even better because I was able to focus so much more. I was able to do screens faster. So I was actually able to do screens faster and significantly more quickly, efficiently, and effectively, and consistently. This is crazy. The gameplay revolutionary change I just went through right now, or yesterday really, this is 20 times as strong. This is 20 times as strong as liquid gameplay. Liquid input gameplay might be the most powerful thing I've ever come across. I'm going to explain to you guys one more time because I think this is such an incredible, mind-blowing concept. It's very hard to grasp conceptually, so I'm going to explain it one more time in different words. If you spin a fidget spinner, if you're focusing on both the fidget spinner and you're pressing the hands on it to get the optimal grab, this is wrong. This is wrong because you don't control whether you grab it or not. So what I'm saying is you have to focus only on what you control. The only thing you control here is whether you grab or not with your fingers. So it becomes obvious when you think about this. Oh, what I need to do is make sure I get a firm grab and make sure I don't make any obvious mistakes. And then if the gameplay adds up, then you'll succeed. What most people are doing is they're focusing both on the fidget spinner and their hands, and they're trying to mimic a grab. They're trying to gimmick a grab. And while this will give you the same results on a fidget spinner, in the gameplay reality it's different. In a video game, this is what leads to choking. This is what leads to very silly errors. This is what leads to lack of concentration. And actually, I can argue that your concentration will go up dramatically in a complex sequence of inputs, sometimes hundreds of inputs over a very, very short period of time. You don't see this in a fidget spinner, but you do see this in gameplay. If you can take those 100 inputs and break it down into 10 chunks of 10, and then you break those 10 chunks of 10 down into three chunks of 10, suddenly you have to focus on 3 things at one time, which isn't too difficult. So you're able to do that, and then you move on to the next sequence. Then you move on to the next sequence. Then you move on to the next sequence. Do you see how easy this is? And suddenly you can do highly complex situations near flawlessly, 100% consistently, or near 100% consistency. This is an absolutely mind-blowing principle. And the greatest thing about everything I'm saying right now is it's 100% natural. It's 100% based on the self. Anybody can do this, and anybody can learn to do this very quickly. The reason I was able to learn this yesterday is because I have been building neural pathways in my brain for the past 6 months, very strong. Every day I'm out in the field, every day I'm playing the game, building neural pathways. Most people aren't doing this. Most of my haters, guess what? They're not doing anything. They're weak, they don't have any money, and they look stupid. And they're just coming at me all the time. But then continually, I'm building neural pathways, and now I'm coming out with epiphanies. Huge epiphanies. And like, if you're not a hater, you know, you could definitely learn to have liquid input gameplay. Like, you could definitely do that. And yeah, I really think you can become a god at any game, really, any game system. Maybe, you know, you don't play video games. Maybe you're more into sports, or maybe you're into public speaking. This is absolutely a thing in public speaking. You're debating someone and you need clear inputs. Well, clear voice. See, most people are focused on, okay, I'm trying to get the words to come out correctly, and I need to find the right words, right? I need to say the words. So they're focusing on both. I'm saying, why are you splitting your attention on things you don't control? Why are you doing that? You should only focus on the words that you pick. Only focus on what you can control. Right? Only focus on the input. It's pretty obvious. Well, it's the same in the game. So I'll go into Vitreous, for example, and I'll slash left. And I'm half arguing, okay, I need to slash left. I'm half waiting for myself to slash left. And I'm half trying to slash left, right? And so, problem with this is I'm splitting my focus. Why am I focusing on whether or not I slash left? It's irrelevant whether or not I slash left, because I don't control whether or not I slash left. I only control, in the present moment, what I can do. And so what a smart player would do is they would go into the room and they put 100% of their effort into just slashing left, right? And then they get the left slash, and cool, next input, right? Next part of the sequence. Let's liquefy the next part of the sequence. I don't feel comfortable slashing left. Let's go back. I don't feel comfortable slashing left. So this is where natural gameplay, doing what you can do, what you think you can do, what you feel like you can do, comes in. So you only do what you feel like you can do. This is what's optimal. So you go in the room and you make sure you get the left slash, right? But you focus on doing the inputs. You don't focus on what happens afterwards. You're going to see a gigantic improvement in gameplay very quickly, and it's going to change your mind. It's completely going to change your mind, because I know a lot of my viewers are like, oh man, I'll never be the best in the world. I'll never even improve at all a little bit. I've been practicing for years and I still suck. Well, with liquid input gameplay, you can become the best within a few months. And I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I'm really against gimmicks. You know, this is I was trying to gimmick the fidget spinner. It doesn't work, guys. I don't believe in gimmicks at all. And actually, I made a video saying why gimmicks make no sense. Abandon the gimmicks. If you create neural pathways and you change your belief, change your fundamental understanding and belief system, guess what? You're going to become a different person. When you become a different person and you create new neural pathways in your brain, over a period of 3 to 6 months, you're going to change completely. Your gameplay is going to change completely to reflect that. And if you can create the right neural pathways and you can pick logical arguments that make sense, that you actually want to do and think you can do, guess what, guys? You're going to become a superhuman, okay? Anyway, guys, WQQQQW here. Make sure to subscribe if you like my content. If you like my video, make sure to hit the like button. If you like fidget spinners, you know, give me a rip. Give me a rip on your spinner. I'll see you guys next time.